to follow. But a captain doesn't make every decision on the boat. That's where you need to come in. You'll be making lots of decisions for the family. And Mike, as the head, might set long-term goals. You know, you've already set those. And now the decisions that you can make, really you want to be in harmony with meeting those long-term goals. Okay, that's really supporting Mike's decisions. And they'll be easy to support as long as you agree with them. The challenge comes in when you might not quite agree with what he decides. Maybe you might think of a better way, according to you. But if you work in harmony with Mike's decisions, as showing true submission and headship, recognizing that, and that will really lead to peace and unity within the family. It might turn out that you're right, and that Mike has to come to you and say, I'm sorry, you were right. But again, how would you react if and when that time comes? Really, your deep respect for Mike will not allow you to say, see, I told you so. But that would not promote unity within the marriage. But then again, you're going to make decisions too that might not work out so well. And so wouldn't you want Mike's understanding too in the same way? You can do much to make your marriage successful. And the second reason why Eve was created was to be a helper. You can be a wonderful helper by taking care of the house and any kids that might come along within the family. You'll be doing much to promote this unity. Proverbs chapter 31 outlines a number of qualities of a successful wife. She was a helper to her family. She took care of them. She cooked, she cleaned, she was very busy. She did business on the side, but yet she always looked to her husband for direction. And her husband really appreciated that. If we look at Proverbs chapter 31, we get an idea how he felt. And he likened her to corals. Corals in Israel were very rare and very valuable. In verse 31 of Proverbs chapter 29 of Proverbs 31 says, there are many daughters that have shown capableness, but you have ascended them all. See, years down the road, won't it be nice for Mike to say, you have ascended above them all? That's really our goal, isn't it? Is to work in harmony with each other so that the family really is built up together. Speaking of love now, really, isn't that really why we're here today? And that's the culmination of the love that's grown between Mike and Nikki. Would you like to have your love grow deeper over time? I think you would. We have the counsel to clothe ourselves in love. Colossians chapter 3 helps us to appreciate that. Colossians chapter 3. And verses 12 through 14 talks about how we want to clothe ourselves with love. Notice the points. It says, accordingly as God's chosen ones, holy and loved, clothe yourselves with the tender affections of compassion, kindness, lowliness of mind, mildness, and long-suffering. Continue putting up with one another and forgiving one another freely if anyone has a cause for complaint against another. Even as Jehovah freely forgave you, so do you also. But besides all these things, clothe yourselves with love, for it is a perfect bond of union. And we can see a few points from these verses. First, as clothing protects the body, having love will protect us and not allow anything to come between you two. It isn't really that goal. The clothing can enhance the wearer, just as your suit and your gown enhances you today. And that clothing really can make us look good. Others will look at you and see the benefits of applying these things in your lives, and will look at your marriage and say, wow, don't they really do well? And that's because you will have clothed yourselves with love. freely forgiving one another. For your love to grow, you both need to show compassion, kindness, mildness, long-suffering, all those qualities that we listed there. And particularly freely forgiving. Again, because we're all imperfect. That sounds real good, doesn't it? Putting it into practice, however, is something else. We have to really work at doing that. Because sometimes even minor little irritations can grow. And if they're not dealt with right away, then they'll continue to grow. And what's going to happen in the next point? Well, words might be exchanged, and feelings might be hurt. So if we're freely forgiving and tenderly compassionate, we won't allow that to happen. We want to be best friends, not just lovers. Best friends look out for what's best for each other. And show kindness in little ways. Tender words, maybe small acts of affection. Maybe you can do the dishes some night and help out with the chores at home. And that really promotes unity. Doing little things is not the big thing. It's all the little things that stitch the marriage together. And when problems do arise, and I do mean when, not if, see, if you apply the verses that we just read from Colossians chapter 3, those problems will be minimized. And they'll be set aside quickly. They're not allowed to be built up to damage the marriage arrangement. There's another scripture we want to keep in mind. That's Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26. As a matter of fact, we talked about it the other night. That's the one that says, don't let the sun set on you in a provoked state. And I know as we talked, you're already doing that. The challenge now, though, see, before you were married, if you wanted a little space between you, Mike went off to his place, or you went off to your place, and you got that space. Well, now you're going to be together as a family. Finding that space, the little cooling off period, might be a little more of a challenge. But you can do it. And you can always move yourself out of the situation for a few minutes to allow Jehovah's Spirit to help you calm down, to go back then and to deal with the problem, whatever it is, and to get it resolved so that no further damage is done. Communication is the key. And by talking together, by just sitting down, spending time together. My wife and I like to have coffee in the afternoons together and just kind of reconnect and to see where we are and just talk about anything. And then just listen to what the other has to say. And truly listening helps you understand exactly what each other's feelings are. And once you know that, then it draws the marriage even closer together, doesn't it? One definition of love that my wife likes to use is you don't get sick of the person that you're with. And while that might sound a little funny, it's really kind of true. So you would never want to look at Mike and say, ooh, I don't want to do you, Mike. You would never want to look at Nikki that way either. See, by putting into practice the things that we've talked about, Jehovah's counsel and applying it in life, like taking a good spiritual lead and displaying these qualities, you'll never get sick of each other. As much as you love each other right now today, as much as you think you do, that you just can't live without, and you'll never grow in love, as the years go by, and as each November 23rd goes by, and you think of another anniversary, you're going to look back and you're going to say, wow, I was really just scratching the surface. But by applying the counsel and listening and learning from each other,